Um, and so I think, unfortunately, the most common supplements on the market that you'll see in your drugstore have very high doses. They'll be like 10 milligram
Hmm.
pills,
So
which is
yeah,
way
so
high.
you're calling 10 milligrams a high dose. And
That's
so
correct.
many of them are labeled and supposed to be 10 milligrams, and that is a high dose. But what you're saying is also, depending on the brand, depending on the bottle, the dose advertised might be way different than the dose actually in the supplement.
Yeah, that's true too. Yes. Hmm.
Wow. And this is a hormone. And so by definition, hormones, they tend to they tend to coordinate lots of different things. I would imagine that melatonin isn't just doing one thing related to sensing dark to just synchronize circadian rhythms. That's very important. I would imagine it's doing probably a bunch of other stuff too. Do we know anything else about the effects of melatonin that maybe people should be aware of?
Um, yeah, I mean, there are dozens of processes there have been reported to be affected by melatonin, but um, I think that let's just say that not everyone thinks that melatonin does everything that people say it does.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Um, I mean, it's an antioxidant, but to have that property, it has to be at very high doses. Um, so I'm not sure it's like a longevity supplement from that standpoint.
Mhm.
Um, I think the main issue is really the source of the melatonin. There are companies that are more reliable.
Mhm.
They actually will provide you the quality control for their product. Um, and so I think the way to find which ones those are is to look at clinical studies done in the United States by reputable labs. I can tell you who those might be and
Mhm.
see what product they used.
I see. Yeah, so there's studies out
So
there.
that's what I take. I
Yeah,
do take melatonin for
you
jet
do.
lag.
Oh, okay. So you
Yeah,
you take it as needed for jet lag purposes because it does actually have an effect on resetting that circadian rhythm.
yeah, and it's a personal thing. I think you just have to try it. So
Hmm.
I worked on melatonin as a graduate student.
Mm.
Okay, so because of that, I never took it because it is a hormone.
Hmm.
But I'd say maybe it seems like 15, 20 years ago, no, maybe only 15 years ago, I had to go to Europe on a trip
Yeah.
because I was here, so it was less than 15 years ago. And then I came back and then immediately had to fly to China
Mm.
the opposite way. So I decided, okay, I'm going to try melatonin. And it did help me reset.
Hmm. Hmm.
So for transatlantic flights, I do use melatonin.
Hmm.
Um, the other thing that I find, this is again just, personal, unreliable information, is that there's a sleep measure called WASO, wake after sleep onset.
Mm.
So that's, you wake up in the middle of the night after
Right.
you've gone to sleep, and then you have to go back to sleep.
Yep.
And some people, once they wake up, they can't go back to sleep.
Hmm.
So I actually find that melatonin helps me with WASO.
Okay. So when you take it when you're traveling to reset your rhythm, that also it has an effect there as well.
Yeah, I think so.
Hmm.
But again, this is just,
That's just your personal
anecdotal.
anecdotal experience.
That's right.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Interesting. What so what can you just like give us at a high level, how do you try and regulate your relationship to light and especially artificial light versus natural sunlight, given all the things that you've learned over the years about circadian rhythms and sleep?
Yeah, so one thing that is pretty important is regularity. It's again what your parents and your grandparents probably would have told you. Uh, regular wake up time and bedtime actually are good for maintaining stable circadian rhythms. Okay. You clearly need adequate amount of sleep too. So that's independent of a clock. That's really for your sleep system. But and the recommendation is for 7 to 9 hours of sleep. Um, and many people unfortunately can't get 7 hours of sleep.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
that is an issue, especially as you age. Um, so I find maybe melatonin helps me there too, a little bit.
Hmm, hmm.
Um, I try not to take it constantly,
Yeah.
but
Well, I
because it's
wonder,
a
yeah.
hormone.
Um, I actually haven't verified this. I don't know if it's true, but it seems plausible. I've heard people say before that melatonin tends to go down or become dysregulated with age because the pineal gland can become calcified with age, and apparently, quite a high proportion of people have a partially or completely calcified, pineal gland as they get older. And so, I wonder if there's something there where melatonin function in the brain tends to go down over time, as many things do, because apparently the pineal gland is particularly prone to calcification.
Hmm. Yeah, so melatonin levels definitely go down. That's been documented pretty
Mm.
well with age.
Hmm.
Why is that? I don't know if it's calcification, but
Yeah, yeah, but
it's
it goes
it's
down.
pretty clear that the amplitude of melatonin goes down with
Yeah,
age.
yeah, yeah.